Hello, BookTube. I have a tiny bit of mail for you today, early on a Saturday morning. A lovely Saturday, but cooler because it's overcast. There's no sunlight so far. Threat of little patches of rain during the day. That's going to go on all day, on and off. You'll never be sure when you go outside that you're not going to get caught in a little rainstorm. But the cloud cover will keep the temperature down until tomorrow, and then we're going to have a warm week. Not hot, not an emergency, not in any way, but warm. Certainly, these last couple of days have been just a miracle exception. And it's the weekend, so the neighborhood here has been completely quiet. If you listen carefully in this video, you will hear birds chirping. Except when I make videos, when there's raucous noise and incredible siren sounds. Except when I make videos. Otherwise, I just don't want... I'm not saying it really to grouse, although I ideally like it if my videos didn't have sirens in every single one of them, so that all of you don't think that I live in a war zone, because quite a few of you do wonder what on earth is going on. Why can't you make a single 15-minute video without a siren roaring by the window? Not only for that reason, but also because I don't want any of you worrying that I don't have the peace and quiet that is so conducive to reading. I do. I do, absolutely. There are a number of people who have now visited Hyde Cottage who can attest to the fact that it's not roaring sirens 24 hours a day at all. It's when I make videos. There'll be one in this video, I'm sure. But let's look at the mail anyway. I just wanted you to know I'm having a very, very peaceful, quiet Saturday morning. Very peaceful and quiet, mostly birds chirping. But anyway, we have, for instance, the greatest literary journal in the world, the Times Literary Supplement. They're a pricey thing to subscribe to, but they have a setup for their subscription where they break down the annual subscription into monthly installments and just regularly bill me. I honestly don't know why other periodicals don't have that option. I really don't. I've had a stack of subscription envelopes with the little written out checks and whatnot straight out of the 18th century. I've had that stack sitting there for probably 2 weeks. I want all of those magazines. I would gladly pay to have this done, but they don't do it. They don't have, as far as I know, they don't have that option. But I get the TLS like regular like the Sunrise, and every issue is great. I love it. It's not a book review for everybody. I worry about that. I've worried about that over the years that I've sung its praises on this channel, and also the many, many years before that I sung its praises in my book blog, Steve Reads. I worry that I'm giving the wrong impression. It's not usually for the generalist reader. You've really got to be in the weeds with reading to get your full money's worth out of the TLS, because it's not cheap to subscribe. And I worry that I may have been leading the kind of great, energetic, enthusiastic, non-snobbish general reader that I love. I worry that I might have been leading some of them to subscribe to this thing, and that they're getting something they didn't expect. But I find something fascinating in every issue of the TLS. This issue, for instance, is the summer reading issue, where they get a whole bunch of their regular contributors to write, give us 100 words, give us 200 words on what you're reading this summer. I love to, and they're all just blocked together, and I love to read features like that, where it's summer reading or New Year's reading or the best books of the year or Christmas reading. I love it when the TLS does that, not only because it's a glimpse inside the mind of a lot of the people that I only know by bylines in the TLS, but also because I love to see if there are commonalities. I don't think a lot of these writers confer with each other ahead of time. So if, for instance, at the end of the year, when they look back on their reading year, if the same book is turning up in 3 or 4 of these, that's going to get my attention. So that'll be interesting, but the most interesting thing in here is a moral choice for Steve. I don't know what I'm going to do here. I guess I will give in. On Monday morning, I will probably give in to temptation, especially since I don't think anything will come of it. This is a review under the heading that I always like in the TLS, Classics. Under the Classics grouping, they reviewed a book called A Commentary on Ovid's Metamorphoses. This is from Cambridge University Press in 3 volumes, totaling almost 2,000 pages, and retailing for £360. I think I'm reasonably certain that Cambridge University Press will not print a US edition of this thing, that it just will not be available. But would they send it to me? If I review it, would they send it to me? I don't know. I don't know if they would or not. I'm pretty sure university presses aren't usually expecting wide-scale, popular success for their books anyway. But something like this, $350 for 3 volumes of 2,000 words, they have to be thinking, no one's going to buy this. No one is. No matter who recommends it, no one's going to. I'm sure they'll be happy. I'm sure there were cheers at their offices when they realized they were getting a largely positive review in the TLS. But the reason I'm mentioning sales and whatnot is because that's my only lever with publishers, obviously. That's my only lever. It's any reviewer's only lever, is that it's worth your while to send me a copy of this because I can increase sales. But can I increase sales of 3 volumes of commentary on Ovid's Metamorphoses at $350 or £360? 2,000 pages? Can I really increase sales on such a thing? I don't think I can. It would purely be for me. And I exhausted my karma for that when I requested a gigantic 2-volume history of the Taft Supreme Court, their judicial record, earlier this year, and I got it, and I loved it. Oh my God, I loved those volumes. But I doubt that I added to the sales of them at all. I'm conflicted as to whether or not to try and get a copy of this. Now, I know what some of you are saying. Some of you little Che Guevaras are probably saying, well, couldn't you just buy a copy? Yeah, I could. I could also moonwalk across the street. I am a lifelong reviewer. I try not to buy anything. But I don't know that I could justify. There's nothing wrong with requesting it. There's nothing wrong with asking. The worst that Cambridge University Press can do is say no. And maybe that will bruise me a little, because whether or not they come right out and say it, their no will be, no, you're not a big enough fish. That's what their no will be premised on. Like, for instance, in a turn of events that would actually be so enraging for me that even I would find it funny and the rest of you would die laughing. If Jack Edwards were to request a copy of this thing, and they don't know who he is, but if they were to look him up, 2 million subscribers, hosting awards, whatnot, they'd send it to him. It's no more chance of wanting this book or understanding it than a rhesus monkey in a zoo, but they would send it to him. And so of course it would chap just a little if I request it and get the strong impression or are outright told that we're not sending it to you because you're not a big enough fish. One of the only ways in which I sometimes wonder what it would be like to have that kind of sway. I honestly don't think that I mostly want it. I, of course, want a lot of people to read what I write. But a lot of people hear what I say on this channel, and they're the right people. They're the kind of people I want to talk to about books. But I sometimes do think, well, what would happen if you had 1 million subscribers on YouTube? Or what would happen if you had, for instance, a long-time unmovable berth at a major venue? I've had berths in venues, the National out of Abu Dhabi for 10 years, the Christian Science Monitor. But what would happen if every once in a while one of those berths will be really long? It'll just be a succession of editors will say, well, no matter what other changes we're making here, you get to stay. That is very rare. That doesn't usually happen. Usually when an editor changes, you're out the door. At some point after that, you're out the door. But sometimes it does happen. And sometimes I think, well, what would happen how would things be different if I had 1 million subscribers on YouTube, or a weekly column in the New York Times about books, about new releases, something like that? I imagine things would be very different. I imagine my ability to get things would increase exponentially. I'm not sure any of the parts that I like would change. I think not only would the parts that I like not change, but I bet I'd get a lot of parts that I don't like. I don't know. I'm never going to know. I'm never going to know. But still, this has me awful tempted. Should I request those volumes? The worst thing I can do is say no. So maybe I'll give it a try. But anyway, I'll keep you updated. I'll mull it over the weekend and decide on Monday morning. So let's look at the packages. We've got a couple of packages here. We've got a lot more mail that came yesterday that I opened off camera. We've got a lot of mail that's coming today that I'll try not to open off camera. So let's see what this first one is. Okay. Let's see here. This comes out in October from Kohler Books. This is by Deborah Sarah, and it is called Lost in Thought. Looks like a misty faces over a keyboard of some kind. Or maybe it's a theater. Let's see here. Ilana has an enviable job as production manager at the Lyric Opera House. A committed relationship, a cozy Greenwich Village apartment, wonderful friends, and the satisfying feeling of accomplishment. But the questions growing inside her are about to shift the trajectory of her life. In this book, which the pub sheet refers to as an examination of free will. Are Ilana's questions due to her scientist boyfriend's research on how people make decisions? Or is she suffering suppressed grief from the death of her mother? Adopted as an infant, she becomes curious about who she would be if she'd grown up with her birth family. Is she truly who she thinks she is? Has she ever freely chosen anything at all? When she learns that her birth mom owns an Irish pub upstate, well, what could be the harm in stopping in furtively for a drink? Entering the pub has surprising consequences. She's knocked over in a brawl, and so what begins as curiosity about her origins evolves into a traumatic shift in her world. Oh, this sounds fascinating. This sounds really, really good. Okay. Well, great. This comes out in October, so I won't be getting to it. But now you know that it's out there. You know that it's coming. Got a little bookmark here. The book trib. I never actually wrote anything for the trib under the name Steve Donahue. But you know this is coming in October. If it sounds intriguing to you. Then we'll do the other package here. Light as a feather. Could be a slim volume of poetry. We'll do the other package here, and then we'll be done. Just a quick little... Oh, okay. All right. Okay. This is a finished copy of something that we've already seen. Nice card from the publicist. We'll put that in there as a bookmark. And then the pub sheet. So what is the date on this thing? July the 9th. July the 9th is a big date. Lots and lots of books coming out on July the 9th. But we've already seen this. We saw the advanced copy. This is now the finished copy from the great folks at Europa Editions. This is Goodnight Tokyo by Atsuhiro Yoshida. And this is translated from the Japanese by Hayden Trowell. It's about, some of you remember when we saw this last time, it's about Tokyo nightlife. Set over several nights between the hours of 1 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. in and around Tokyo, this mind-blowingly constructed book is an elaborate, energetic fresco of human nocturnal existence in all its mystery, an enigmatic literary mix of Agatha Christie, Teju Cole, and Hieronymus Bosch. Whoever wrote that earned their keep. On this journey through the labyrinthine streets and hidden corners of one of the world's most fascinating cities, there you gotta agree. Everybody is searching for something, and maybe searching in the wrong places. Elements of the fantastical and the surreal abound, as they tend to do in the early pre-dawn hours of the morning. Yet the settings, the human stories, and each character's search are as real as can be. Goodnight Tokyo offers readers a unique and intimate take on Tokyo as seen through the eyes of a large cast of colorful characters. Their lives, as disparate and far apart as they may seem, are in fact intricately interconnected, as their fates converge against the backdrop of the city's neon-lit streets and quiet alleyways. So who is the author? Born in Tokyo in 1962, the author is an award-winning book designer and a renowned writer who has published more than 40 books. Good Lord. And this book has been translated into French and German and was featured in Germany's 2002 Hot List among the top 10 books from independent publishing houses. Okay, great. I'd love to know if this author has had anything else published in English. I'm assuming yes. But anyway, this comes out as an $18 paperback. This is what it's going to look like with the French flaps. Europa always makes some nice, sturdy, lovely editions. This comes out on July the 9th. So July is right around the corner. It's next week. So I need to... I need to keep working on my July bookshelf. I keep saying in every video that I am going to do that, and I don't do it. I always come up with something else to do. I've made half-hearted gestures at it. I really want company. It's the problem here is that I really want company to do it. I want one particularly bookish friend to come over here and do it with me, but that's not going to happen. So I really should address it myself, and the sooner the better, because whatever it's lacking, I need to start getting it on Monday morning. Start a business on Monday morning. I need to start fleshing out that shelf and August with whatever I want that isn't there. See what's out and about, see what's gettable and what's not, etc., etc., and also what more is going to come today. And maybe request that commentary on the Metamorphoses. Maybe. I don't know if even I have the sheer face to do such a thing. But there's no harm in asking, right? There's no harm in asking. And who knows? I'm not Jack Edwards, but it's no small thing. I'm no Jack Edwards, but I also don't have his viewership. I have my viewership. And I think, to put it gently, I think my viewership is far more likely to spend £360 on a treatise on Ovid's Metamorphoses than Jack Edwards' viewership is. I don't think that's mean or inaccurate to say. I don't have that large a reach as a critic, but other critics pay attention to that reach, and I have this channel. It's not a nothing. It's not nothing. You're not sure that you won't get sales from it. And at £360 a pop, any sale is worth it. It's not going to cost you £360 to send me these things. But anyway, I don't know. I'm agonizing. We'll see. I'm going to just spend the weekend reading, and then we'll see how things turn out on Monday. But anyway, I'll wrap this up for now. Just a tiny bit of mail. 2 bits of fiction. One immediately on the horizon. Good Night Tokyo, immediately on the horizon. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.